Hi guys, in this video I'm going to talk about the rough draft a little bit, talk about the peer revision a little bit, and just cover overall what I kind of expect on Friday and then next Friday as well. So hopefully you have finished your presentation. I haven't received nearly as many as I would have liked for the presentations, the PowerPoints, so hopefully you guys get me those as soon as possible. They do need to be submitted soon because I do need to put the grades in for them. So please don't plan on submitting it like halfway through May or something. So make sure you take care of that. Email me the PowerPoint with the video/audio inside of it. And then that's the first part of the profile assignments. The second part is the rough draft, which you should be working on at the moment. Remember, you're not just doing this for AP, you're doing this for English 102 as well if you plan on taking it in the fall. If you don't submit it during this semester, then you're going to have to do it again in the fall. The downside is in the fall, you're going to have 4 other classes, including my other class, which is going to be kind of rough. So you want to take care of this as soon as possible, get it out of the way, and then you get points for this class, and you don't have to worry about it next semester. In this video, I'm going to kind of go over a rough draft example that a student has already greatly submitted, which I really appreciate. It's a good example to look at. It kind of gives you a model of what I kind of expect. I'm going to briefly show you the peer revision that I have assigned for you, and then that should be it. So let's take a look at Turnitin. So in Turnitin, I do have the rough draft set up. I have the peer review set up as well. In the peer review, I have a bunch of questions that I am looking for you to answer. These questions are going to be mostly on a scale from 1 to 5. There is one that is, can you identify the paper's thesis? And then finally, what do you think about it? And it's a minimum word response of 50 words. So hopefully you get some good responses. You have to submit a paper in order to peer review someone else's paper. And you have until May 7th, so next Thursday, to complete this peer review for them. You're trying to help them out. They're going to help you out. Each person's going to have one person, and it's going to be assigned through that. There is a chance that you might not have anybody, but what I'm going to try to do myself is go through your rough drafts and provide feedback in where I think you need feedback. And then you'll submit the final draft by next Friday. Okay, so let's take a look at the sample that a student has provided. So this student, I removed their name because I don't know if they want their name to be known or not, provided their paper on Earl Dixon. So in this paper, you have APA. APA means that you have a title page, and then you have an abstract, and then you have the paper, and then you have that annotated bibliography, which you change into references on the final few pages. For some reason, this person's long title did not get saved. Maybe something happened when they saved it and then submitted it to me. So if their top title is Earl Dixon and adhesive bandages, then this right here should be, oh my goodness, should be there as well. So Earl Dixon and adhesive bandages. But normally this title is expected to be longer. Changing the health and safety of the world. Something like that. The first few words that are right here go up here, and they're on all capital letters. This person did it correctly as well by keeping running head and having it removed on the second page and beyond. So that is correct. The APA template does do that for you. But how do you know what goes up here? It's the first few words of this. They could have technically stopped at Earl Dixon. That would have been fine too. They have their first and last name at Liberty High School as well. And that's it. That's the only thing that's on the first page. You'll note that there is no last name up here. My name is not anywhere on here, neither is the date. On page 2, they have an abstract of their paper, and they briefly discuss what is in the paper and what they did in the paper. If you want to pause, you can go ahead and read this yourself. This is an excellent abstract. It does meet the requirements. They are missing the keywords. Again, I'm not sure if something happened when they saved. So the keywords here would be Earl Dixon. You have adhesive, it's going to be lowercase, adhesive, bandage. You also have Johnson and Johnson, safety, health, and a few other words as well. And that's what it looks like. You'll note that this is not indented, this is indented, and this only keywords is in italics. My rules and writing restrictions apply, so please do not use I, me, we, us, you, your, contractions, varies, any of that, including in the abstract. And that's it. So that's page 2. The actual paper starts on page 3. That first long title goes right there, and then you have the introduction. In the introduction, research is not required. Research is obviously useful if you decide to talk about something specific, but it's not required. This person was nice enough to put it there, and it's all throughout. And the final sentence right here should be your thesis. So whatever your thesis you gave to me was should be listed right there. So did this person use APA correctly? Well, if it's a parenthetical citation, the best way to find out is match it with what's on the final page. So let's see if I can do that. I'm going to look for the case, so Kippinger editors, and then I'm going to look for 1964. So let's see if I can find that. Let's go down to the case. I do. There it is, and there it is. However, this is a magazine, which means it has a page number. You can see it listed right there. This person is missing the page number, and that's okay. It's part of this process. So it should be P period space 32, and that's what it looks like. This person is also using the same source back to back to back. Technically, you don't need to list the source on every single line. It does get repetitive. So I could technically just remove it and put it right there. And that would be sufficient. This should be common sense. That's part of giving credit where credit is due is attributed to common sense. The fact that the person needs to know where the information is and matches it up. The next one is Velis to 2019. If I go down to the B's, yes, there it is. That is correct. Let's take a look at some others as I just kind of scroll through. So I see Wetman and no date, and that is correct because if there's no date, you still have to tell the person that there's no date. So I look for the W's. I scroll on down. There it is. That is correct. And that's how you find out if you're giving credit where credit is due in APA correctly. I should be able to match every specific thing that you have throughout this paper, and it should be good to go. Okay, so here we have running heads as well. So the headings are listed right here. The headings are going to split up the paper because in an APA you are allowed to do that, and it actually makes it easier to read for a lot of people. In standard traditional APA, there are specific headings that you're required to use, but for the purposes of an English class, there are not. You make them yourself. A level 1 means that it is centered, and it is bold, and capitalize just like that. A level 2 means that you have an area within a larger area. This is the level 1 behind the invention, and then there is Johnson & Johnson involvements. However, we have a problem here, and the problem is that this needs to be centered if it's going to be a different area. But if this was an area inside of behind the invention, there needs to be 2 of these. Because you can't break a larger area into one smaller chunk, what's the point? Just have another paragraph. If you're going to have multiple sections, then you need to have 2 of these. So they could have technically, I don't know if this is the same area, I haven't fully read it yet. So I would just go ahead and hit enter, and then left align, pull it over, and then just say, here have, for instance, original. So then I would have one large area, one small area, one small area before I go back to one large area again. So these 2 areas would be inside of this one. This person might have just forgotten to do a centered right there, which is just fine. It's easy to fix. Okay. Also, keep in mind, proofread, look for those commas as I kind of see it right there. Okay. So as I go through, I'm going to look for a few other things here. So this person is writing formally, so that's good. They're being specific. The question is if I read something, am I going to know where it's coming from? Also, one of the important things to do is to boost the ethos or credibility of a source. If you tell me Mary Bellis, who's Mary Bellis? But if you throw in author of Band-Aid, that's better. If you had provided a little bit more credibility about their work or who they work for or their experience in kind of taking a look at certain things like the Band-Aid, that would be ideal. So as Mary Bellis, an expert in the history of Band-Aids, writes, that would be good too. Be on the lookout for contractions. Don't use those anywhere. You'll note that that was a blue line. And I imagine many of you on your home computers are writing the paper, but you have forgotten to turn on formal proofing options. Remember, you can do that in the online version and this Word version. It's just under File, Options, Proofing, Grammar Refinements, Settings, and then just check mark all of that stuff. And then it'll turn all of them on for you. All right, so as I'm going through, I'm looking for a few other things. Is this person overusing quotations? This is an important thing. So I look for the quotations. I have one here, I have one here, I have one here, but I see other summaries and paraphrasing, so there is a pretty good mix there. Only use quotations if you absolutely need to use quotations. This person decided to use chronological a little bit, so we have early life, behind the invention, Johnson & Johnson involvement, public appearance over the years, final years. Then it reinforces the importance of adhesive bandages as well. This paragraph can kind of be moved either before or after, wherever it goes, that's completely fine. And then the conclusion. You are permitted to call it the conclusion. You can call it something else, it's up to you. And then you finish it up. So this person's paper is 1, 2, 3, 4, about 4.5 pages long, and that's just fine. That's a good length. It covers all the necessary areas. And then they have their references. This is the annotated bibliography. You're changing the name to references. It has a hanging indents, meaning that the first line is pulled all the way to the left. Every other line is lined up. It follows my rules, and make sure you incorporate the feedback that it gave you. Be on the lookout for publication titles. If it's a publication title like the Kipling magazine, you know that it's going to be in italics. It's in italics there. Just make it up there. So some small proofreading things. But overall, this is a superb example to look at. If you pause it, want to take a look at it. So props to the person who did it. Excellent job, excellent job. Just some small things to clean up for the final draft. Okay. So this week, just keep on working on that stuff. Don't forget that I did send you emails in regards to preparing for the AP test for those of you who are preparing for it. There's no need for a lockdown browser from what I see. It would just be too problematic for students all across the country who are essentially leasing out the laptops from their districts and they can't install the lockdown software. So I imagine that's something that's there. There are videos for you to watch. There are other things that the College Board has provided, so make sure that you are preparing for that test and that you have put it in your calendar so you know what day it's going to be and you have reminders. Tell people, don't forget about it. You do not want to forget about it because you'll be out of money and then you'll be out of a test and you'll have to make it up in June, I believe. If you have any questions on how to write the paper, please let me know. I'm going to start going through the PowerPoints today and provide feedback, so make sure that you're sending them to me. Thank you.